Okay, so the first item on our agenda, Gordon Allen, is to talk about the accessibility plan for Everett Crowley. I mean, given that the three of us were the three that volunteered to work on this subcommittee, I see that as the biggest topic we need to talk about today.
Yeah, there's kind of a lot we've got to cover here. Like, you guys have got some pretty screwed up facts.
What's the problem with the facts?
Well, it's fine to discuss how great it's going to be for the community, but where's this environmental impact? What's it going to do to the local wildlife? It's the last real original growth in the city. It's the only unmolested park in the city.
We've done our environmental impact. We've done all those studies. We've had experts come in. All the studies have been done. People from your committee have participated on that. I don't see what the problem is. You've read them. You've got.
Oh yeah,
you've got
I've got it right
that.
here. It's wonderful. How many trees did it take to produce that report? It's useless.
Well, that's not fair. That's not fair.
Okay, if we can just stop for a second here. Clearly, the two of you have differing views on the quality of the information there in the study. And one of the things that we've got to agree on is that the criteria that we use is acceptable to all of us. You know, I think we're going to get into trouble, I believe, if we start getting emotional about it.
Well, I'm not emotional. I'm
perspective.
just concerned that these studies that have cost a lot of money, they are objective studies
Right.
that people like Gord and his group of environmentalists and tree huggers can look at these in an objective way as opposed to an emotional way.
Okay, two things there, Alan. One is that I agree. It's important that we use objective criteria, that any decision we put forward from this subcommittee be based on criteria that we're all comfortable with. The second point is about name calling. You know, tree hugger and things I think tend to get people defensive, and it might be easier if we focus on the topic at hand, which is accessibility versus the people involved.
Okay, I guess our real problem with the study was that it's great from a revenue generation point of view. It's great to provide parking for the local community and the golf course across the street. I'm sure that'll keep them happy, but this really hasn't gone into, as far as we're concerned, into depth about what the impact is going to be on the local wildlife. Now, I know you guys have worked really hard and you have tight deadlines, but I'm trying to look at the bigger picture. We're really concerned about the impact. So not just for our lives, but future generations for long term. This is the last one we've got. And this report really doesn't seem to cover what it's going to do to local wildlife. This is the last place they've got to live.
So what are you saying? Are you saying that we shouldn't have anybody going into this park? We shouldn't do anything with this park? Just leave it pristine and untouched? I mean, is that what you're looking for?
Well, as an ultimate goal, I think that would be great to protect it, but
So
we also
you'd
have
prefer
to, let me finish. We also have to be realistic. And yes, there has to be some accessibility to appreciate what we've got. I just don't really think that this impact study that you guys are calling it has really looked at what the impact is going to do to the park itself. I mean, you're cutting down over 200 original growth or second growth trees. I don't really think that's necessary.
So what you're interested in is just keeping this kind of place pristine, and you don't want to see any people in there, any movement in there, no movement of rocks or trees or anything.
No, that's not really what we said.
Actually, what I heard you say, Gord, was that rather than wanting to keep it pristine, that what was important to you is the impact that any changes have on the wildlife, and you're concerned that this be retained as a natural site for future generations.
Well, actually, we had our own study done to show that we weren't going to be politically biased. We brought in a firm of experts from the States, and they did their own impact assessment. Now, what we have done, I'll leave you a copy so you can read it, we've also looked at other ways of doing the same thing, lessening the impact. I mean, this is the last pristine example of a pure, real park for the people in Greater Vancouver. It's the last stand of original growth and second growth. It's the last place real wildlife have in Greater Vancouver.
Well, Gord, that's great. I think you know, I'll look at this and I'll read this, but I can tell you right now we're going to have a problem with this. Americans coming in.
You haven't even read it yet.
But Americans coming in and doing a study on parks in Canada ain't going to fly in this city. I can tell you that right now. But I'll read it. I'll read it.
It's fine to say that, but just because it's American doesn't mean it's bad. I mean, environment is all the world.
Well,
It's not just Greater Vancouver.
And I think what's important to all of us is that the study that we use or the information we use be credible to all three of us. Right? I know that you've done your study, Alain, through the city. You've done your study with this American firm. A third alternative is that we have experts within Parks Canada that could, in fact, do a third study and give us a third perspective on the impact of any changes on the park.
So we'd be able to get together and do sort of a joint or a common, well, for lack of a better word, terms of interest, what we both wanted and how far we wanted it to go. Is that good for you?
Well, we could ask the people from Parks Canada to look at both these studies and come up with a sort of, I don't know, compromise study or an in between the two. I mean, that would work for me. I'd want to look
Okay.
at the American one first, though, because I'm still
Well, sure,
a bit,
that copy's yours, and I can
bit
get you more
suspicious.
if you want. Well, no reason to be suspicious because it's really good and it's right on the ball. It's honest and real.
And I think that that's what we're all saying here, though, is that we want this to be a real study or real information, as it were, not saying that anyone isn't, and that we all want to feel comfortable with the outcome or the information we're acting on.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I said earlier. To me, is important is using objective criteria, that we make this decision based on objective criteria.
But I think we also have to be realistic. I mean, both Alain's group and my group, we both have things that we want to see happen at the end.
Absolutely.
And Alain's under political pressure to get this little revenue generation thing running down the track. And we want to keep
Well,
it for
Gord,
other
it's
people.
it's not only revenue generation. You've got to remember there are very few parks on the east side of Vancouver. It's chronically underdeveloped in terms of parks.
But a
It's
park
the
doesn't have
biggest-
to be developed.
It's the biggest growing area in terms of demographics in Vancouver. So we've got to make parkland available there for the people. It can't be parks that are enclosed by a fence. It's got to be a park where people can go in and play and enjoy and see the environment. And
But play and enjoy
okay.
and see the environment. You guys are looking at more parking for the golf course and nice little paved pathways that people won't get their shoes dirty. This is a park. This is the real world we're talking about.
Right,
Yeah.
okay, so just to get back to accessibility plan that we're here to discuss, I just want to reinforce for all our benefits that this really fits into one of our objectives, the one on park maintenance, which is to manage the park to the benefit of the community while promoting the natural habitat. You know, I think that objective just speaks to varied interests that we all have on it. Just to keep us focused, I just wanted to reinforce that that's the objective that we've already set as a large committee.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
fine.
Okay.